Let's have a look at the active done hairwing mayfly. I'm assuming no knowledge of fly tying here, and so I'm starting literally from scratch. Take the thread and set it onto the hook, starting at the eye and taking it down in even turns all the way to the bend. By holding the tag end of the thread out at an angle towards me, the thread is settled turn against turn. Snip off the tag end and take the thread the remaining few turns till you reach the point opposite the barb of the hook. Now, using open turns, come back level with the point. Take a cock pheasant tail and remove 4 to 5 strands. Offer these up to the hook so that the tail will be roughly the length of the hook. Now tie it in, taking the thread back level with the barb of the hook, and the tail's now set in. Taking the butt ends, wind these back in even turns, again opposite the barb of the hook to the thread. Catch in, 4 turns there, and remove the butts. Use the very point of the scissors so that you're accurate. Now take a patch of superfine dubbing and tease the fibres out. Just nibble away with the fingers and thumb until you have a wispy, almost smoke-like section to use. Lay this along the thread and twist it with your finger and thumb anti-clockwise onto the thread, making a nice fine section of dubbing. Now wind it 3-4 turns there, and now just check it, make sure it's tight, and wind 3 open turns along the pheasant tail, and now form the body in touching turns, almost but not quite to the eye, leaving room for the wing. There we go. And just make sure that the rest of that dubbing is on the thread. For the hackle, we're using a grizzled dyed olive saddle hackle. And just remove from the butt end the spare fibres to give room to tie it in, and I always take a few fibres extra from the stem where it lays against the hook, just to make it easier to wind. Offer it up and tie it in and bind down with the dubbed thread, almost but not quite to the brown pheasant tail section of the body. Now wind the hackle in touching turns for the first 3 or 4 turns, working your way back down the body. The beauty of the saddle is you can use your fingers, you've got plenty of room. And then open the turn slightly as you get towards the back end where the thread is. Catch in with the thread, keeping it tight, wind it through the hackle to the front. Snip off the waste using the very fine tips of your scissors. Brush the fibres back with your fingers and thumb to hold them in place. Just put 2 or 3 turns of thread tight in front just to help set them in place. Now take a few fibres of light olive yearling elk, snip them off, you'll find right in the roots there's quite a lot of soft fluff. You need to pull that out. I use the thumbnail against the finger, just brush it out. If you don't, the wing won't tie in properly. And again, just brush the tips as well. Make sure there's no rubbish in there. Pop that into a stacker. Make sure it's tapped down. Now take some dark deer hair. As long as it's non-flaring, it needs to be a dry fly quality hair so that it doesn't flare. Could be elk. Again, just comb out the fluff at the base. And just check the tips, make sure they're reasonably set together. And again, pop that in the stacker as well. Give it a good push down. Now tap it hard 2 or 3 times just to settle all the tips. Lay it sideways and pull apart, and then just pull the hair out by the tips and offer up to the fly. I like my wings to be roughly to the centre of the tail for length. Catch in, pull forward and get 2 or 3 turns of thread tight in behind the wing, compressing the dubbing. It helps to hold the wings in place. Back in front again, 2 or 3 more turns just to make sure everything's tight. Pull the butts up, a few turns in front again to lock them. We're going to show some butts here when we finish, so I want them to be set high. Now, simple whip finish. 5 turns, needle into the loop for me, and pull into place. Slide the needle out, job done. In with the point of the scissors and snip off. Now just separate the butts away from the wing. Again, in with the tips of the scissors. It's a little bit fiddly. And trim off, leaving a 1/16 of an inch or so. And then just a bit of tidying up any stray fibres. Can spend hours playing with an odd fibre here and an odd fibre there. There we get rid of that one. And there's a couple more we just need to get at. There's one there, and there'll be a couple more. There we go. Let's just snip in there with the scissors and away. And there we have a completed, active, done hairwing mayfly. I always trim a V out of the hackle underneath so that it sits well. Let's hope it catches a fish or two for you.